Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Enclosed Cosmology. This is episode 19, titled Pharaoh. So we'll go ahead and start saying our hellos to everyone. I'm missing some stuff on my screen, though, so bear with me. And let's pull this back. Where is all my people at? All right, well, I'm having a little technical difficulty, guys, on showing everyone's name. I'm not sure exactly why it's not showing it. So I'm going to go ahead and introduce everyone who's here anyways, and then I will work on getting that done in the background. So I apologize. Something must have changed with the overlay that's causing this, but we'll go ahead, and even though y'all can't see them, I'll go ahead and call them out. So we got with us Daryl Lee. How are you doing, Daryl? Shabbat shalom, brother.
Shabbat shalom, brother, and Shabbat shalom, everybody. Good to see y'all here, and I'm excited to get on with this. So, thank you.
Yeah, yeah, awesome. And we'll get into our topic here pretty shortly, but go through this like always. And then we have Frankie B back with us. How you doing, brother?
Great, brother. Shabbat shalom, everyone. We just got out of the studio today. Got another beautiful track we're working on. We sent Vader a finished product. He's working on a video for us. We can't wait for him to launch it so we can come on and talk about it. The song's called Dig Deep. Nick is singing lead on it. Got the Golden Boy singing lead.
Nice. Well, yeah, it's awesome, everyone. I can't wait. I'm excited to share it for you. And when I was listening, I totally had this picture of what it kind of meant to me. So I'm excited to make that happen and share that with everyone. And hopefully we should have that next week. I think I'll have it done by next week. But appreciate you being here. And as well, we have Chris. He's here, but he is muted right now. So I'll just skip over him for now, and I'll come back to him later and go over to Marcia. How you doing, sister? Shabbat shalom.
I'm doing just fine, Vader, and glad to be here. Fun topic, maybe, I don't know.
I have quite a bit of stuff to kind of just pull up
Good.
and kind of show and share with everyone. But I also kind of wanted to give everyone just a quick update on Anthony before we get fully into that. So as well as trying to figure out how to figure out this issue that's going on. But anyways, so with Anthony now, I believe I had believed that we had secured a lawyer for him, but the lawyer is actually, even though there's money available, but they can't find him, there's getting a runaround. The lawyer is, wanting that retainer paid before he moves forward, which I understand. It also kind of sucks because he also said, hey, we're going to do a payment plan, but I don't really know how a payment plan works is if you have to pay him up front. So if there are any out there interested in, in putting money towards that, reach out to me. Of course, don't feel obligated. If you feel led on your heart to try to help him out, it'd be greatly appreciated by him and to all of those who have already given money to put on his books so he can make phone calls and get food. He literally, when he got there, he let them know, hey, I can't eat these foods. It's like my religion. And they serve pork to him just consistently, and he literally can't eat that food, so then he has to buy a $7 can of beef stew on the market, and ridiculously overpriced for what he's getting. So anyways, if anyone feels led to that, reach out to me. If not, like, no, I'm not holding, to anyone, um, but, anyways, so there's kind of an update on him. Um, we got other things in the process. He has other things in the process, but as of right now, we're kind of, stuck. So
Limbo.
yeah.
Limbo.
So, anyways, I'm almost done here. I'm trying to figure out. I think this changed it. So give me a second. This is voice. Let me grab this again. Come over here. Add this. Page. Yeah, I don't get it. Nothing's invisible. It's seen. It's so weird. I don't know why it stopped. And this is the one time I didn't check the voices. I'm so sorry, guys. Please bear with Vader Bear.
If I could color myself, I'd color my picture on there.
I literally just updated it from the main site. And it's still not. Close. Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to be able to change it. I'm so sorry, guys. Okay, this might be invisible once we kind of start talking about it and I have some time in between. I'm going to be talking for a while anyways. And then to those here, I'll go ahead and pull up Discord and share my screen. So if you want to share along and don't want to wait for the screen, and wait for it to show up on YouTube, then you can join my live. Come back to this later. So, pull this up for everyone else. There we go. So everyone should be able to see my screen now. Okay, so the topic today is Pharaoh. So now I know there is debate and proof and evidence and reasoning to believe that the named person of who was Pharaoh during Moses' time, was Darius or Ramses or whatever it is. That's not really what we're going to be talking about today. Definitely go and do your own research about that though. But specifically what we're going to be talking about is the title, the position of Pharaoh. So now I'm going to be using a few different resources. So as you see on the screen right now, I'm on Bible Hub, and I just want to go to Scripture first and kind of get the definition from there. So I'm just going to pull that up. I'm going to go into Strong's. Okay, and here's Pharaoh. And here's the Strong Words 6547. So it literally means a title of Egyptian kings. It's a title. That name is a foreign origin, so obviously that's from Egyptian. But purely it is a title of a king. So that's kind of in all what we're going to be discussing today. Why I picked that word, partly in that title, is to talk about that. So we were kind of talking a little bit before about what it kind of meant for Pharaoh, right? Because we have a Pharaoh character within the story of Moses, and he's one of the antagonist kind of the story. And something that Moses deals directly with on multiple occasions. So not only was there this person who is Pharaoh that was around the time of Moses, but that title, that name, has, you know, who knows how long of a history of kind of being known as a, you know, as a king. And furthermore, in this, there's tons of different resources out there, and I'll first just say that this is obviously missing, you know, information that they don't want to share. But this is the World History Encyclopedia, and I kind of want to read a few pieces from this. So this is just their overall religion. For those that never done any type of thing, and you know, some of this sounds good, but you know, that's how it always works with religion. So so the first part here that I want to read, these two couple paragraphs. So it says, religion played a part in every aspect of the lives of the ancient Egyptians, because life on earth was seen as only one part of an eternal journey, and in order to continue that journey after death, one needed to live a life worthy of continuance. During one's life on earth, one was expected to uphold the principle of Maya, harmony, with an understanding that one's actions in life affected not only oneself but other lives as well, and the operation of the universe. People were expected to depend on each other to keep balance, as this was the will of the gods to produce the greatest amount of pleasure and happiness for humans through a harmonious existence, which also enabled the gods to better perform their tasks. By honoring the principle of Maya, personified as a goddess of the same name holding the white feather of truth, and living one's life in accordance with the precepts, one was aligned with the gods and the forces of light against the forces of dark and chaos, and assured oneself a welcome reception in the hall of truth after death in a gentle judgment by Osiris, the Lord of the dead. So the reason why I kind of wanted to show that is, like, you know, this is what is kind of outwardly said about the Egyptians. And I also think about, if this is true, how easily the, you know, Hebrews at the time could have mixed these together, and added gods very, very easily. But one of the things that it kind of gets into is also this part right here, which talks about the gods. It says the underlying principle of Egyptians' religion was known as Hika, magic, personified in the god Hika. Hika had always existed and was present in the act of creation. He was the god of magic and medicine, but also the power which enabled the gods to perform their functions and allowed human beings to commune with their gods. With their all-pervasive and all-encompassing, imbuing the daily lives of the Egyptians with the magic and meaning, and sustaining the principle of Maya upon the which life depended. So what's very interesting, and I'm not going to read it all, but Hika is also connected with money and the value of things, and that you know, kind of connection with the gods, as you needed them. They were a part of your everyday life. So I'm going to skip a lot of this. That, you know, we're going to be talking about some of these major, you know, major gods and stuff like this. But what's really interesting that I found that was left out of most of the literature that I could find was human sacrifices. Now, they will admit 100% that there was human sacrifices when the pharaohs died, kind of to flex on, you know, the world. They would have their retainers, you know, they would be buried and mummified with him, you know, to serve him in the afterlife. So they admit to that, and we'll kind of get a little bit into the, you know, kind of the mummification process too, and how and why that's connected to various things. But I saw a very small amount. But what I did want to point out about what they do is now it says right here, although Greek historian Herodotus claims that only men could be priests in ancient Egypt, the Egyptian record argues otherwise. Women could be priests of the cult of their goddess from the Old Kingdom onward, and were accorded the same respect as male counterparts. Now, this kind of whole thing, of what this means to have women inside the temple, I'll let everyone kind of go. But we see this same type of thing, within the Greek culture, which subsequently some of the names that we're going to be reading today are literally the names of their gods, that we know, but from Greek. So they were saying, oh, this is this god. So it's very interesting, and we'll get into that here in a little bit. I just wanted to show that real quick. And was there anything else? Yeah, not here. So, in Egyptian kind of in their pantheon, they have quite a bit of gods. And as you see, I'm kind of scrolling through all these different gods. But as I showed, if you looked at the the thumbnail, I had two on there, and I kind of want to talk about those two today, but we're going to talk about a handful more, but I just wanted to pull those out in particular. So, the first one was, I think I had that almost found. Nope, I think I spelled it wrong. Let me get back down
Isis.
Here. Oh, no, we'll get into Isis, but
okay.
So we had Horus, and we also had
Osiris.
We had Horus, and we also had, what is his name? Sobek. Okay, so here's Sobek. Okay, so I just want to talk about him real quick. So Sobek, an important protective deity in the form of a crocodile or a man with a crocodile's head. Sobek was a god of water, but also associated with medicine and particularly surgery. His name means crocodile, and he was the lord of marshes and wetlands and any other wet areas of Egypt. In the pyramid text, he is claimed to be the son of Neith and was worshipped widely from the Old Kingdom onwards. As a god of the wetlands, he was associated with fertility and procreation, but as the crocodile god was also unexpected death. He was said to separate wives from their husbands at a whim. Sobek lived on mythical mountain at the horizon, which he ruled from, and was so linked to the authority of the king as he himself was the lord of a domain. This link was with the horizon associated with Ra and led to the form of Ra known as Sobek Ra. Sobek is one of the best known gods of ancient Egypt and was extremely popular in his time. His priests kept live crocodiles in the temples, who were fed lavishly on the best cuts of meat and treated better than many human beings of the time. When these crocodiles died, when they were mummified and buried with the caregivers to a person, he was also associated with the Nile and was said to issue forth as the sweat of Sobek. So, the reason why I want to bring him up is for a couple of reasons. So, later in when kind of Greeks got in here and there was more kind of discovery and understanding of each other's religions, Sobek was changed to Sobek Ra. They were associated as the same for many reasons, from where they were ruling, from what they were domain over, and things like this. Though obviously these are seemingly personifications, we also think that these may, or at least I also think that these indicate that we had some mixings of people. Now, a lot of people associate, the Pharaoh with post-flood, and they were definitely around in the post-flood. But I also think that this kingdom existed pre-flood, and this was just the continuance on once that information was, or that land was reestablished or re-civilized. So anyway, so I wanted to show Sobek real quick. and show that connection there, and that kind of will lead into, you know, obviously the first plague of Moses. And then let's pull up Horus. He's back here, and he had his own picture. We got a couple other slides that have a little bit more information on them. At least Horus is. Where are you? Horus. There we go. Okay, so there's quite a bit again, so I'm going to read this, so bear with me. It says, an early Avarian god who became one of the most important deities in ancient Egypt. Associated with the sun, sky, and power, Horus became linked with the king of Egypt as early as the first dynasty. Although the name Horus might refer to a number of avian deities, in principle designates two. Horus the Elder, one of the first 5 gods born at the beginning of creation, and Horus the Younger, who was the son of Osiris and Isis. Following the rise in popularity of Osiris myth, Horus the Younger became one of the most important gods in Egypt. In this story, after Osiris is murdered by his brother Set and cut into 13 pieces, it doesn't say this, guys, I'm just, you know, and that 13 pieces, that, you know, 13th piece being the obelisk, if you feel my drift. When he comes of age, in the story, after Osiris is murdered by his brother Set, Horus is raised by his mother in the Delta swamps. When he comes of age, he battles his uncle for the kingdom and wins, restoring order to the land. The king of Egypt, with some expectations, all linked themselves with Horus in life and with Osiris in death. The king was thought to be living incarnation of Osiris, and through him the god gave all good things to his people. He is usually depicted as a man with the head of a hawk, but is represented by many images. His symbol are the Eye of Horus and the hawk. I want to bring that up really quick, but specifically with Horus, and I'm going to bring that up. Specifically with Horus, there at the end when I was reading, it was talking about the king was thought to be the living incarnation of Horus, and through him the god gave all good things to his people. So there is a ritual that they did every time a new pharaoh would come. And that same ritual has been continued in America since our first founding father, George Washington. He was the first one to go through the Osiris. I think it's called the Osiris something. I don't remember, but they literally believe that they're conjuring the spirit of Osiris and Horus and becoming that, you know, that deity. But the other point that I wanted to pick out is the fact that it says through that God gave all the good things to his people. So this is, you know, like kind of it's kind of an insight, but I want to back up real quick and show something real quick, because it said the Eye of Horus, and I don't know how many people out there, maybe I've seen this before, or maybe you haven't, but inside your head you do have a third eye. So that third eye is your pineal gland, and if you've ever wondered partly where they got the symbol for the Eye of Ra, I'm going to show you. So pull this up. Did not copy it. It did not copy it. Give me 1 second, guys. Copy link. There we go. See if that went. Nope. Sorry, guys. Bear with me for just a minute more. I copied the wrong link. There we go. Copy image link. There we go. So it's going to be kind of a small picture. Y'all should be able to see it over there. I'll show it over here, though. So right here inside your eye, inside your brain is your third eye. It's your pineal gland. It has a retina and a cornea, just like your eyeballs do. Now, if you look at this shape, it's we got very similar, kind of, you know, iconography here. That's kind of even drew it on for you. So I don't know if anyone's ever seen that, and we'll get into the Ra. We kind of already brought up Ra. That's the Eye of Ra. It's also, there's also the Eye of Horus. So this is the Eye of Ra, and then the other one's Eye of Horus.
So what do you think that means, Vader?
So, specifically, what part? The third eye, the Eye of Ra.
Yeah, the Eye of Ra. Why would they?
So I think, and I've kind of said this up to this point. I think that they are like, our technology is way behind from before. So before, like, for instance, as we read with what was his name, Sobek. Sobek. He literally was a crocodile, but he was also the god of surgery. So but yet we're told, surgery wasn't really created until like the
1900, 1800s.
Yeah, 1700s or whatever it is, when they, were using all those dead bodies to experiment on, and so on and so forth. So they already knew about this stuff. They already did this stuff, and I think one of the reasons why specifically that is associated with Ra is because, I think that your pineal gland is where, like, when you imagine things, like if I say pink elephant, everyone see that pink elephant, like that image you're seeing is created by your third eye.
Exactly.
Yeah. And
right.
So I just think it's interesting. We could get into, calcification through, fluoride and etc.
That brings me to the virtual reality. That to me, that's an attack on the pineal gland, because they're going right at you with all this imagery, and I would imagine they're trying to either program. Well, they are trying to program, but that virtual reality stuff. It's like it's an attack right on your pineal gland, I think. What do you think
it's kind of funny because with virtual reality, real quick, I was always, as a kid, like, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited, like, when I get into this play, like, because, like, there's games out there that kind of have that idea, or, different types of entertainment out there that kind of have that idea. And I thought it would always be really cool, but, like, as I came to the truth, I have actually never, ever put on virtual reality. It kind of scares me. It kind of scares me, and what's funny is kind of what you're talking about, and what Austin's talked about too, is I feel the same way about virtual reality that I do hallucinogenic drugs. It scares me. So I'm not gonna talk bad about it per se, but I definitely have a creepy feeling when it comes to those things.
Well, it takes you back to the movie Avatar. You're actually entering another realm, like they did in Avatar when they got into them things, and they started interacting with the beings in that realm, or that planet, whatever it was. You know what I mean? So they were using virtual reality to put on an avatar to interact with these beings in the movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but those beings were supposedly real, and the avatar was very touchable. So usually, virtual reality, a real person can't touch.
But it seems real. You actually feel like you're touching them. That's why you'll see people like their hands.
And they feel like they're touching somebody. A real person feels like they're touching without reality glasses on. Anyway, it doesn't make. It's okay. I don't need to be involved in that.
Yeah, no. It's getting crazy. Like, where you can walk any direction. Where, like, it's called, I think it's called, like, haptic feedback. So, like, in the game, when you grab something, a solid object, a quote unquote solid object in the game, the motors in your hand don't let you pull anymore. Like, don't let you squeeze anymore because it's made out of wood. But let's say it was made out of jelly, you could squish it.
Yeah, I understand, but those are, you're both wearing virtual reality glasses, not one person being real outside and the other and touch whatever. Yeah, I guess I didn't make myself clear.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, but you get the sensation real. That's the thing. They're attacking our senses. You know what I mean? Because you're putting on them goggles and you're entering another realm and you're getting the sensation of what you're doing is real. That's got to be playing with your psyche somehow. You know what I mean, Vader?
Totally. But yeah, anyways, a very interesting topic. I'd love to talk about it more sometime, but kind of getting back to what we were talking about and the connection there of the pineal gland, and we could get into more of that later. We'll get into that. Pull this back up. Okay, so I specifically called out those two people, and we'll kind of read a little bit more. Now, this isn't a full-on history lesson about their all their gods and stuff like that. What my point is of showing this, and I'm sure most of y'all are at least understand what they were kind of about, is they had a plethora of gods. And they worship these things, these people, like obviously kind of how we worship our Father, but in a different way. And we've kind of connected already, the different cultures out there with their different versions of these same gods. And I'd like to get into that in more depth in another video at another point. But for this one, we have all these countless stories, countless depictions of these beings, these statues and different things. And you can get into the things like the serpent, this V with the sun inside of it. Kingdom Contacts, Sean, he did a great representation of what this sphere is. And that might even connect with what I was showing before. Let me pull that back. Shouldn't have got off of it since I already had a page for him, but we're almost there. Where is it? Almost there. Almost there. Shh. Almost there. Okay, here it is. Sobek. So like with Sobek, with all these different gods, they had all these imageries and statues and things that they came and they worshiped to. And they had all of these different gods that later, did get combined into, other gods or a single god. But the point of me showing this is to show you how far from the truth they were, and how wrapped up in religion and tradition that they had become. And we definitely will talk about how that transitioned into the Hebrews' behavior later on. But also just to emphasize the seriousness that they took these things, right? Like they made huge temples. And I wanted to kind of bring it back to a subject. So we saw here, and I left him again, but with Sobek, it says, Sobek is one of the best known gods of ancient Egypt and was extremely popular in his time. His priests kept live crocodiles in the temples, who were fed lavishly with the best cuts of meat and treated better than many human beings of the time. Do y'all think that there was ever a time where humans were fed to those crocodiles?
Of course.
So, but so obviously they don't talk about that, right?
Who's they? Who's they?
So I'm saying that this is the world encyclopedia. What is it? World something.
Oh,
sorry.
Okay.
But what my point is this is just the information. What is it? The World History Encyclopedia. But what my point is they have all of this information that they at least have shared with us, right? That they've at least shared with us. But if you just Google, did Egyptians do human sacrifice, you won't really find any information. Oh, like they did again, their retainers. But I want to show this. Now, this is like a little of a kind of offshoot. It is an org website as opposed. This is an org, but I don't know. It seems a little bit more believable. But anyways, so it says, when examining human sacrifice, there are three of the practices that should be distinguished. The ritual killing human beings as a part of offering presented to God on a regular basis or on a special occasion. Retainer sacrifice, or the killing of domestic servants to bury along with them with their masters, or the killing of convicted criminals or the enemies of the country. Although criminals and enemies of the country may be killed in a ritualistic manner, this process cannot be considered as real human sacrifice, therefore not discussed here. So they're not even getting to the fact that they're ritualistic killing other people. And we definitely know this, right? Because this was happening in Exodus 1 and 2 with the children. After the Hebrews wouldn't do it, the Egyptians started doing it. So much that Moses' mom, she had to hide him. And, obviously the father's hand was all over that. But the point being that that's the kind of practices that they do. So I just want to read this real quick. It says, there is some evidence to suggest that human sacrifice was practiced during the pre-dynastic period at the beginning of the first dynasty. The earliest known example of human sacrifice may perhaps be found in pre-dynastic burials in south of Egypt, dated to the Nakada second period. One of the discovered bodies showed marks of the throat having been cut before decapitation took place. It says the fragmentary label of the reign of Horus found at Abdos, and a label dated to the time of Aha's successor Dire, found at Saqqara, may bear witness to a ritual involving the killing of a human being. In both cases, a kneeling figure stick a long weapon in the chest of a bound victim sitting in front of him. A bowl between the assailant and the victim may have been intended to catch the latter's blood as he bleeds to death. Also present in both cases in some kind of fence-like sign drawn above the sacrificial scene. On the label fragment from Ahia, a figure of authority identified by his long stick observes the killing. Behind the victim, a fetish that, at least in the later periods, was a... One second, I got a cough. Excuse me, everyone. It says, behind the victim, a fetish that, at least in later periods, was associated with Anubis is represented. It is not known if this fetish may have been related to the practice of human sacrifice. So there's more great information on here. This is talking about the retainer sacrifice. Go check that out. Here's the link if you're interested. But I just wanted to share that there is, at least evidence that we've seen, and I would suppose that there's a lot more evidence, a lot more artifacts and information that have came out of Egypt that have been either willingful or unwittingly not shared. But I tend towards the former. So anyways, I wanted to share you with that, and it brought up Horus, right? So I got this up here on Horus. Let me bring this up. Okay, so it says Set defeated by Horus, a depiction in the Ptolemaic period temple of Horus at Edfu. Oh, I clicked on it. That's what happened. My apologies. Okay, so again, not gonna get super into Horus, but I just wanna to pick a couple things here out. So this first part is that says, not first part, but the first part I'm gonna read says the name Horus is Latin version of the Egyptian Hor, which means the distant one, a reference to his role as a sky god. The elder Horus, brother of Osiris Osiris and Set, and Nephthys is known as Horus the Great in English, or Harwer and Hurrivis in Egypt. The son of Osiris and Isis is known as Horus the Child, Horpakahid, who was transformed into the Greek god Hippocrates after Alexander the Great conquered Egypt in 331 BCE. Harpocrates also means Horus the Child, but the deity differed from the Egyptian Horus. Hippocrates was the Greek god of silence and confidentiality, the keeper of secrets, who stationarily regularly depict him as a winged child with his finger to his lips. Oh, we all know that that imagery that we see all the time in entertainment. But it says Horus the Younger, on the other hand, was a powerful sky god associated with the sun, primarily, but also the moon. He was the protector of the royalty of Egypt, avenger of the wrongs, defender of order, uniter of the two lands, and based on his battle with Set, a god of war, regularly invoked by Egyptian rulers before battle and praised afterwards. In time, he became combined with the sun god Ra to form a new deity. So weird, we have a new form of deity with Sobek as well as with in Ra, and now we have here a new kind of combination of Ra Hakarahite, god of the sun, who sailed across the sun during the day and was depicted as a falcon-headed man wearing the double cross on the upper and lower Egypt with the sun disk on it. His symbols are the Eye of Horus, one of the famous Egyptian series symbols, and the falcon. So I kind of had read a brief thing of that, but there's so much of this mixing when they're combining these things. We see that once Alexander the Great had conquered, we get a Greek name for him, which still means Horus the Child. So I really want to show how, even though they have all these different gods, the thumbnail again, you have Sobek and you have Horus and Sobek, but Sobek was combined with Ra, and Horus was combined with Ra. So we start kind of seeing that all those that I had shown before, all these gods, was a part of the culture of the peoples, where they segregated, and then once you have a new ruler, them kind of like reorganizing it and giving new names. And we kind of see that over and over as Egyptian goes. So why did I share all this with you when it comes to the ancient Egyptian religion? Well, the point that I'm showing you is this is one aspect of a pharaoh's life. He would not only be raised to learn all these gods, obviously in his time and era, as some gods fell out of popularity, but also what all these gods do. So we also saw that Horus brought the good to man, and he is the representation and the protector of the royalty, so of Pharaoh. So Pharaoh would have been told and raised, as all of them had, of this kind of information, that he had this god that protected him and gave him a direct connection to Ra, the highest god, and also let's bring it kind of back now. Again, mainline historians will shy away from the fact that Egyptians partook in ritualistic human sacrifice. Though I did show you some evidence of some hieroglyphics that were found, I would suppose there's more out there. But the point of being is, when Alexander the Great came out, they got Greek names. Well, that's because they're the same thing. They just have different cultures that grew up around them. And so Oh, I'm not sure what that was, but an additional piece I want to add to that, kind of because we see the same similarity, is all of these other groups, right? They also all believe that they are the royalty are all descendants of gods. So we haven't looked in the Chinese religion, but and there's a handful of them, but their dynasty, first dynasty, he was the son of a dragon. In Hindu, the same thing. You got those Hindu gods coming down and creating their royalty. That's why they have the caste system. You see this again in Egypt, where you have certain people who were destined to be God. You see this also in Europe, with all the households, mainly a handful, that all claimed that they had a divine right to rule because they were, destined to do so by God. And so they all claimed these mantles of what the Roman Catholic Church today would refer the Pope to as the Vicar of Christ, the representation of God on earth, representation of Horus on earth. That's what they believe. It's all interconnected. So this same person would have partaken in all of these pagan rituals and events. Now, the reason why I also kind of depicted those two things in the thumbnail is because didn't we just go over this? We just saw Abraham come out, and then we kind of saw his adventures, and though we skipped some stuff, we know that they were settling in that area. And so is it very hard to assume that eventually that group of people became part of Egypt, and then consequently everything led up to what we're seeing in Exodus 1 and 2, as they were great and mighty and they're multiplying and they feared from them. And so, specifically with this pharaoh, the obviously all the other pharaohs have this job to maintain, right? Because they are again the representation of Horus, who is to bring good and greatness to their country, right, through their gods. And so they're expected to perform a certain manner. So if the pharaoh is not doing very well, or if the country's not doing very well, that is not only the people's fault, but it is also very much so the pharaoh's fault, because he is that representation. So we see all of this stuff, and the last one I want to pick out, because we talked about him a little in another one, is Anubis. Now again, shout out Sean from Kingdom of Context. He's a great series, the Babylon series, where he kind of goes into kind of some things about Anubis. Won't really be covering that out, so I definitely suggest you checking him out. But he was known for a handful of things. So let's go ahead and just kind of read a good chunk of this, and then we'll kind of talk about it. So Anubis is the Egyptian god of mummification and the afterlife, as well as the patron god of the lost souls and the helpless. He is one of the oldest gods of Egypt, who most likely developed from the early jackal god Wepwamet, with whom he is often confused. Anubis' image is seen on royal tombs from the first dynasty of Egypt, but it is certain that he had already developed a cult following prior to this period in order to invoke on the tomb walls for protection. He is thought to have developed in the response to wild dogs and jackals digging up new buried corpses at some point. So again, this is mainline history that he was just conjured up this deity that is depicted over and over and over again as just a symbolic thing. It has nothing to do with anything. Anyways, I wanted to also point out, give me a second, where is that part? Okay, here. So this is again showing the Greek connection. So Anubis is the Greek form of the Egyptian Ampu or Ingpu, which meant to decay, signifying his association with death. He made many epithets besides first of the Westerners, and also known as Lord of the Sacred Land, referring to the area desert where necropolis were located. He who is upon the sacred mountain, referencing the cliffs around a given necropolis where wild dogs and jackals would congregate. Ruler of the 9 bows, a reference to the phrase used for traditional enemies of Egypt who represented as 9 captives bowing before the king. The dog who swallows minions is simply referring to his role as the god of death, master of secrets, since he knew what awaited beyond death. He who is the place of embalming, obviously for mummification, and foremost of the divine booth, referencing his presence to the embalming booth and burial chamber. So, what my point is this was a highly popular god, a highly praised god for a really long time, and his whole thing was about death and decay and this embalming, which was literally, like getting you ready for the afterlife, but yet preserving your mortal flesh. Literally makes no sense, the story that they give us, but again, this is not going into a whole history compared to what's true to what actually happened. I just kind of want to show you these things, because a lot of these things, as we read on later on in Exodus, we will see these gods be directly attacked, directly assaulted by the Father. So one of that first one, kind of started off with, and we'll get that to another one, but just as a kind of a teaser, is that he turns the water to blood. Now, Sobek was the literal, the crocodile god. He was the, all the Nile. He was over this area, and it was his domain. And he was also associated with sudden death. So a connection there to Anubis. But these practices that these people were doing is, again, we see this in all the other cultures except this one culture. So yeah, anyways, that's kind of all I had specifically that I kind of wanted to share. Now, if any of y'all want to get into more of the specific gods, or you have questions, anything like that, I'd love to hear it. And before that, again, I'm sorry guys, for whatever reason the Discord is not showing voice. So,
well, the program's about Pharaoh. So,
yeah.
What was all that other than he represents? That's what their culture,
Yes.
believed in. Okay. And are you depicting it to the? Well, we're too far into Exodus for that to be the plagues yet. But are you trying to connect it to that, or?
Oh yeah,
Sure.
We'll definitely connect it. The reason why I wanted to bring all that is we saw what Moses was like, and kind of stepping back from that, we saw Abraham, and we kind of saw what he was like, and we're seeing the beginning stages of Moses, right? And last week we talked about, was that murder? Was that, defending someone? And I'm not bringing that up again. Hopefully those that wanted to talk about it, left a comment. But anyways, so we kind of saw that the Father's hand was on Moses, coming into this world. And, we know that, coming into that, there was a Pharaoh that knew who Joseph was and respected them, and I believe allowed them to do the things that they wanted to do, and that's why they were prosperous, is because they were able to follow Torah and able to do the correct things. But as they were targeted by the Egyptians because they were getting big and mighty in the land, we see the Egyptians start turning to some of these, kind of crazy decisions, like kill all the firstborn, male childs. Um, and that response obviously is not Torah, right? But more so than that, it was a targeted thing, and we see that kind of consummated again with Moses. So again, we see where Moses is coming from. We see what he's gonna we know what we're gonna go through. We're gonna read it, but I really wanted to spend some time to not only develop, to develop what these people were believing in the time of Moses, but to show you the vast difference of what they would have grown up to. Now, we're using Moses when he's already been in this kind of time period of tribulation with being targeted, but we know right before that happens, the consequence, the lead up to that happening was them being so good and growing and listening to Joseph and Abraham and Isaac and following those ways and getting progress. Now, I'm not saying anyone was perfect or they were all really good or whatever it is. I don't know the percentage. But what my point is we see this drastic change from Egyptians that knew who Joseph was to the ones who didn't. And so as soon as that happens, I feel like that same kind of comes back, where it's this new Pharaoh. He's being told, you are the vicar, you are the God of this earth. So as we get into Moses is in representation, he is up against not just a human being, right, which is the person who has the title of Pharaoh, but he's also up against all the spiritual wickedness that not only comes from the rituals, right, but the fact that it's literally a haven for these unclean spirits, right? Because these unclean spirits, these gods are worshipped. So, it's kind of like when Noah came off the flood, as it said in Jubilees. Check that out if you haven't. We're doing a Bible study on it. So this is my first time reading it. I think we're at like 25, 26, something like that. We do it Tuesdays at 6 p.m. That is Mountain Time. So that would be +2 for Eastern. But anyways, come check that out. But in there, it talks about Noah coming off the ark and being like, his son's coming like, hey, all these unclean spirits are messing with us, and that whole event happened. But the point of me bringing that up is it's kind of the same thing, where we're going to see, as we get more into Exodus, we're going to see them do some straight up magic, right? We talked about Hika and that the Egyptian religion was very connected with mysticism and spiritualism and like occult practices, like divination, all that stuff. And so we see that not only is that directly talked, later on when we get out of Egypt, is that directly, talked against, like, do not do these things. But we also see that it's also kind of like the globe, right? With the cognitive dissonance, it's a very hard thing to come out of, and we'll see that again with the Egyptians coming out. But I don't know. Did that answer your kind of topic of what the point of me trying to show Pharaoh was? Is just showcasing this, what actually Pharaoh was up against. It wasn't just a human being king. It was all of this tradition and all these gods and all these other things. Again, with the connection of Horus, right? And him being the representation of God, of Horus, of Ra on earth. If all of a sudden you have these plagues happen, right? How are you going to explain that? And again, the cognitive dissonance of this boy believing in all these stories he's told, believing he is that representation of God on earth, what that would do, it's almost like that would harden a person's heart. So, anyways, I see Ian Fiducci. He also does a show over on Take on the World. Is over there on the Take on the World chat. Thank you for showing up, brother. See, I thought I saw a question. I'm just trying to find it now. Let me pull this up. Sorry, everyone. I'm a little slow trying to find this.
Anybody else got some questions?
Yeah, anyone else? Oh, but I wanted to finish with you. Does that make sense? Did I at least answer your question?
Well, kinda. I mean, I understand you wanted background of what they believed in, and they believed in gods, and they had spiritual powers. They definitely did, and they'd have rituals. And yes, I do believe they did sacrifices. I don't care what the encyclopedia says. The Bible says they did human sacrifices and horrid things. So the Pharaoh is definitely going to be a part of it. That's who he's ruling over, and Pharaoh. There was even gods made, those big, huge gods made for Pharaoh. I mean, even who is it? Abraham's father. You know, did he make all those idols? I mean, yeah. So Pharaoh, is part of, that.
But yeah, so like what my point on it, again, and to reiterate, is like he wasn't just up against a human being. He had all this spiritual stuff in front of him that he had to deal with. And
I understand.
And I'm so excited to get into that, because you'll see, you know, the father systematically go through in the plagues attacking Pharaoh, because it doesn't just, again, it's not just attacking Pharaoh when he's doing this stuff. It's literally attacking the spirits, right? Because when you have, let's say, people praying to Sobek, right, the god Nile or whatever, right, and then all of a sudden the Nile is filled with blood, right? Your belief in that god is going to be stunted. So their literal spiritual powers were changing and going crazy during this period with, you know, Moses and Aaron, and of course we'll get into that. But I just kind of want to set it up, because I think a lot of people don't really consider that. They don't, like, they see the person of Pharaoh, and I'll be the first to admit, you know, like, I have some of the cognitive dissonance from Prince of Egypt, but my point is we kind of you know, I just want to make sure as truthers, right? Like, before we totally glazed by Genesis 1 and totally was able to be like, oh my gosh, the world is a ball, even though it does not explain that in any type of way. So in the same way, I don't want us to brush past, you know, thinking about Pharaoh not only as a human being that he was dealing with, but a whole nation that he was dealing with, and a whole spiritual backing and history behind that.
Yes,
and
it's a spiritual warfare.
Totally, and
it really
it's to me, it's so much of a bigger fight that he's fighting here than just one man trying to convince another man to let his people go out to the wild.
Okay, I guess that's what your point is. Yeah, it's definitely a spiritual war. Correct.
Oh yeah, and we'll definitely see that as progresses as we get into Exodus. But yeah, I think it was kind of important to take a little second out once we introduce Moses to to talk about Pharaoh, kind of again the antagonist that's going to be here for a good amount of time. So yeah, I hope y'all kind of enjoyed that little presentation I had for you. Again, if anyone has any questions, comments, other things they'd like to bring up with the pertaining to the topic, I'd love to hear them, or anything. All right. Well, don't all talk at once, but sweet. Okay. Well,
Vader, didn't Sean, didn't in one of our episodes Sean say that Nimrod found some of the stones from the fallen angels that had alchemy on them and spells and
I don't know.
I think I think that was after Noah. One of Noah's kids found these stone tablets with
So I think that was out of the I don't know. There's kind of similar stories, but it makes me think of when we were talking about the Epic of Gilgamesh. And
yeah, when we were talking about Nimrod.
Yeah.
Well, the Egyptians are a descendant of they're like an empire that came after Nimrod, aren't they?
So no, well, my personal belief is that they were a part of Nimrod's empire.
Right. So they probably had access to all the things that Nimrod had. And the Pharaoh was, after Nimrod was destroyed, the Pharaoh was like recalling the spirit of Nimrod, right?
Yeah, and the again, we kind of talked about this before, but the depiction of Osiris being cut into 13 parts, that association with the number 13 with Nimrod, the creating of this offspring Horus, which is like, the new Osiris, and they're like almost the same. There's a lot of weird stuff like that, again, that's echoed. But see, the hard part, or at least the part that takes the most amount of time, is like trying to figure out which of it is kind of metaphorical and what's kind of, because again, right, we have one god and this other god, and then they're merged into one god, right? And then you have this god and this god, and they're merged to one god. So obviously a lot of this has to do with culture, and not necessarily.
Yes, it has everything to do with culture. Whatever's going to be accepted in that culture. If it's an Indian culture, it's going to be Shiva. But they're all the same gods. They just put on a new package, a new face, paint themselves blue. I don't know, But they all boil down to the same gods in the end that they're all worshiping.
And they have very similar practices into praying to those gods, or giving thanks to those gods, or whatever it is.
Or sacrificing to those gods.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I'd like to mention about the pineal gland and stuff like that, about the third eye and, the Eye of Horus and all that. But I'd like to point what Yeshua says in Luke chapter 11 and verse 33, where it says, "No man, when he hath lighted a candle, put it in a secret place, either under a bushel, but on a candlestick, that which come in may see the light. The light of the body is the eye. Therefore, when the eye is single, the whole body is also is full of light. But when thine eye is evil, thy body also is full of darkness." So it seems like that there is this third eye thing that we need to be aware of, and it's and it mentions being single, that we don't want to get our stuff mixed up. We don't want to one little bit of leaven can mess up the whole thing. But I don't know. As far as the pineal gland goes and all that, I'm not real clear on how that equates in scripture.
I don't know how to protect my pineal gland.
But
is there some herbs I can take to help me? I mean,
well,
honestly,
they talk about it being calcified, and then
yeah, I know.
you're not spiritual. I don't know, all that kind of stuff. But there is a prevalence here. It seems, as far as scripture, that there's an eye, and that we should be single with our eye and keep it full of light.
And you know what's kind of crazy about that is it's also like, I'm sure we've all felt this, where like you look at someone in the eyes and they don't look like there's light in their eyes. Like people say that kind of almost as a phrase or a saying, but it's kind of true. Like you can see that people don't have light in their eyes, and those people are usually not very happy people.
Well, it comes to the wicked. They perceive wicked in their thoughts, and then they act them out. So if the pineal gland, the third eye, is the window to your imagination, and then so if you corrupt that and have evil thoughts, then you're going to do evil deeds.
Yeah, and Yeshua sums this up fully by sums this up fully, by showing that like he says, if you have hate in your heart for your brother, you've already committed. Well, that hate in your heart literally brews into a thought that you then view in your imagination. So then you're putting this dark thing in your imagination. Totally.
Actually, yes.
Yeah, absolutely. So
deceitfulness of the heart. It's the deceitful thoughts of the mind that make your heart corrupt.
And he says, if you have lust for a woman in your eyes, or is it say heart? If you
if you look with your eye, if you look on a woman
with lust in your eyes, you've already committed adultery. So right there.
I think it says with lust in your heart.
Well,
but,
even if it is, again, the same thing. Like if you're that has to happen with like vision, right? So
sure.
It's like
sure.
Yeah.
It's just keeping your eye gates pure. If you start looking on a woman and lusting after her, it's like when David was looking at Bathsheba, taking her bath every day. He lusted in his heart, and then he took her, and then he had her husband killed in battle. It was Bathsheba, right?
Yep, you're correct.
Yeah, but now we took it out of the heart and into actuality.
Yeah.
But usually when you lust in your heart, that's probably what will happen, is you will take it into actuality or into literal being. But
well, yeah,
anyway.
and we do that. We manifest those things, right? And that happens on the most corrupt, sick levels, right? Where it comes with like people who hurt children, right? Like that's not the first thing they do. It's kind of like a drug, right? Like you don't start with the hard drugs. You kind of work up, and that's kind of what you do, right? You kind of work up to this, and I even though this kind of seems off, it's like this is what we're gonna see with Pharaoh, right? We're gonna see him go through this over and over and over, where he's hardening his heart. And I think that hardening his heart is kind of like what we're talking about, is he's having this feeling in his heart, he's imagining it, and that things are manifesting. So awesome for that comment.
As a truther, we know that all their psyops are manifested by projecting fear on large groups of people, so it actually comes to pass. You know what I mean? Like the whole COVID operation, the things we just went through in the past 2 years.
Yeah, and now what we're having now, it's another threat, and you know that's affecting everything. It's again affecting logistics because the gas prices, you know, companies are going out of business, trucking companies. The gas itself, right, is affecting everyone because now their cost of living just to get to work just skyrocketed, you know, doubled. So yeah, like they're obviously always putting us through fear, and you know we got, you know, Mr. Sleepy Joe, you know, saying there's going to be food shortages, which is obviously going to cause people to go to the store and buy more food than they normally would. So
yeah, like
it's
the toilet paper scare we had in the beginning of. People were hoarding toilet paper like it was crazy.
Yeah, and so yeah, they've been doing the same thing over and over with that fear, and but yeah. Anyways, so kind of back.
I got caught up in that because I only buy toilet paper for like 2 weeks or a week. And then I go to the store and no toilet paper. I'm like, what's going on? People are losing their minds.
I guess I was one of those that lost their minds. I'm I'm gonna go buy some more.
You never know what's gonna come out on this show. Yeah, that's great.
I've literally been trying to fix this behind the scenes this whole time. It's just.
But I've been a prepper for like 10 years, so it wasn't something new.
Yeah, I live week to week. I mean, you know, we go shopping weeks. If we need something, my wife will pick it up or I'll pick it up.
Yeah.
I'm not stocking up for months at a time.
Man, I cannot figure. I think it's gonna has to be something I fix after the stream. I'm sorry, everyone that can't see who's talking today. I literally tried everything I can to get it fixed, but anyway, so yeah, I guess we can kind of, you know, if anyone wants to bring it up, totally go ahead. But I kind of wanted to transition over to kind of just, you know, chitting chatting for the last you know 20 30 minutes that we got here before we close it down in about 40 minutes. So yeah, again, thank you all for listening to me. I'd love to hear y'all's thoughts in the comments below. We're getting up there. We're at 423 when it comes to subscribers, so you know, we definitely appreciate it. We're growing a little here and there. We are going to be doing a giveaway at 500 subscribers. So all of those that are subscribed and then comment on the video when we put it out for that giveaway. If you're subscribed and you leave a comment on that video, you will be entered in for the prize, and that information again will be coming out here within a week or two. So look forward to that. That information will be coming out in a week or two, so look forward to that. And then what was I gonna say? Oh, so I didn't have any direct things that I wanted to kind of share when it comes to oops, wrong one. When it comes to gosh, guys, I'm totally losing my train of thought. I didn't have anything like specifically I wanted to talk about. Did y'all have anything kind of in your world or in the news or anything that kind of y'all been eager to talk to someone about? Man, y'all are just a riot this today. Well, if that's the case,
How far are you along on the video for Dig Deep?
I'm still storyboarding it, getting exactly what I want, and then I got to do a lot of kind of background work, so it'll take a minute. And I'm gonna give. I was thinking about doing just a little teaser, just like kind of the beginning, without going too much into it, just to kind of get people amped up. We may do that at the end of the show.
Yeah, well, you gonna play a little teaser of the track at the end of the show?
Yeah.
All right.
So stick around for that. It's good, guys. They'll definitely get you jamming.
Yeah, in it.
Oh yeah, it's very awesome.
Yeah, we're excited, man. We did a show last night, me and Nick. I gotta cut it up. We got video. So on YouTube, Born Out of Time, our YouTube page, there already is some live footage up there, but I'm gonna be adding some more live footage from last night's show. A song called Your Reality, which we just worked on today in the studio. Another one, Torah of Love, is the third track, and then there's another song called Patience. All you need is patience. Take it day by day, because your promise is on your way. It's like a faith. It's based on Hebrews. What is it? 11. Now the just no. Now faith is the evidence of things not seen. But one of the lines in the song is, "Now faith is what you're hoping for. Through faith we know that the worlds were formed." That's one of the verses.
Nice.
So that'll be up on our YouTube page. I'll probably do it tomorrow.
Nice. Well, that's really. I think it's really cool. Like that. Like, you know, it literally started out with like, let's make some music, and I, you know, not everyone knows kind of the backstory of kind of what led y'all to where y'all are now, but it's like, you know, looking back now, I bet you almost kind of feel silly for any doubt that you may have had, like, with that situation, and now to see like that it's blooming and y'all are actually doing y'all's own thing and creating this awesome music. I think it's so cool, man. It's definitely had the Father's hand in it, but so yeah, I'm excited for that. I'm excited to make the video and share everyone with it, and I hope y'all enjoy it as well. But I do want. Go ahead.
It started out with just me having an idea, because we got kicked out of another band, and so me and Nick were like left, ousted, over "Love Is Your Witness." Imagine that, a song called "Love Is Your Witness." We got into a huge argument over, and so me and Nick left the band, and then I was like, well, how about me and you start jamming on Shabbat? We started jamming on Shabbat. We prepared our lunches. We fellowship. We worshiped, and that turned into 22 original songs later. 6 months later, we have 22 original songs, enough for 2 albums.
Nice. Well, that's awesome, man. I'm super excited. I did pull up some stuff. I'm gonna share it with y'all in Discord too, just as we go over these. Basically, it's just gonna be some news articles, but I thought I'd share it with y'all regardless. This one go live. So, and then show everyone over here. Okay. So I think it's interesting to go over these. So apparently the space station's first all private astronaut team welcome aboard an orbiting platform. So SpaceX capital carrying businessmen that paid $55 million each dock at the space station. So let's pull that up. We'll go back over here real quick.
Are you putting it in Discord?
Yep, you can see it on Discord as well if you click the live. So it says NASA's third attempt at critical moon mission delayed till Tuesday due to malfunctioning valve. What do you mean they can't even go through low Earth orbit? This is like literally so stupid. Scientists find leg of dinosaur that was killed by the great asteroid. Like, okay, like how was it killed that you found a leg? Like they just say such ambiguous stuff. Here's one, you know, just to let you know aliens are coming. Space laser is beaming directly at Earth from 5 billion light years away. So someone sent that laser at us 5 billion years ago, and it's now just getting to us, apparently. Yeah.
Did you see the thing on the dinosaur bones they found? They're supposed to be like 1 million years old, and they were fully preserved. Forget what it.
No, I didn't see that.
I've seen something across my news feed about that since you brought up dinosaurs.
There's just so much stuff. Like, I don't know, like I used to actually avidly read this stuff and just be like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. Dark matter could be a cosmic relic from extra dimensions. It's just so. NASA's self-driving Perseverance Mars rover is breaking records in Iceland. Anyways, I'm gonna read through this real quick. Oh, nope, I'm not gonna disable my ad blockers. Okay, sweet. So, yep, we went through that. If anyone else has anything else to share, if you'd like to share it, I'd love to hear it.
Where did you post that stuff?
It was. What do you mean? I was showing it in Discord, like on my live. You would have to click live. I already jumped off, but it'll be
All right.
in the YouTube video as well. Everyone saw it there. But yeah, go check that out. Sweet. Okay. Well, I guess since there wasn't really any more comments or anyone wanting to say anything about anything else, I guess we'll just do our house cleaning, our housekeeping, and get out of here. Don't want to make y'all stay here for nada. So.
Oh, you could do the house cleaning for me.
Housekeeping. Sweet. Okay. All right. Well, let me pull up. Thank you again, all to those who leave comments and subscribes and like the video. It really helps it grow. Again, we're steadily growing. Let's get that 500 number and then 1,000. The more puzzle pieces that we can get, the more that we can all learn and grow with each other in this fellowship. So check out the Discord, links in the description. Jump on there. We'll welcome you there. If you ever have any questions or need help with Discord, it is kind of a little user friendly, so definitely people there in the server that can help you. There's conversations throughout the week. We share videos, different content, recipes, all types of prepper stuff, growing, gardening. So check that out. It's pretty awesome, great community. Yeah, let's continue to grow the community. I appreciate all those who are subscribing and are commenting. It really does help us, grow. But here we go. I'm gonna pull up the comments. I'll first go over again. Enclosed Cosmology Fellowship, and then I'll show the ones that we got going on from Take on the World. So real quick, shout out to sorry about that, guys. Shout out to Chris and Liz again for letting us use their platform. It does mean quite a bit that you give this platform to us to share our puzzle pieces and find new puzzle pieces amongst your family. So again, we appreciate that. But yeah, let's pull this up. First one. Sorry, I'm having a little technical difficulties. It will not actually pause. And let's pull this up. And sorry, I had to refresh just to make sure I wasn't missing anyone's comments that had made it either during the video or after I had uploaded got the videos, got them ready in the first place. So okay, so there's that one. Perfect. And let's show this. Okay, awesome. So we got a few comments. First, Pepper Mandy, he is risen today. If you celebrate unleavened bread this week, Tuesday Passover, and 3 days later, too cool. Hallelujah. This is my family's second Passover unleavened bread feast. I want to hear more from Mrs. Vader on what y'all do with the little ones. She's so creative and sweet. Yeah, so I don't know what number this is for us because we've celebrated it in different ways. Like we've done Seder dinners. My wife enjoys Seder dinners. I think it's a little bit too religious. But I did enjoy the learning aspect of that and kind of the seriousness of it. And then a lot of it is just like a lot of teaching in them and understanding. And I can't think about what it off of the top of my head, but there's this very specific commandment when it says like, and when your sons ask you, why do we do this? And we say, because with the mighty hand of God, he brought us out of Egypt, out of bondage. That's so important to teach your children these things, in my beliefs, because, I feel like I missed out on a lot of the true holy days, the true feasts, and was given this culture, made up, Hallmark holiday instead of the joy that we get in all these. And I definitely love it. And we are in a different calendar, so I'm sure you're aware of that. So we still got a little bit before that happens for us. But one thing that happens leading up to this is we're like, just every meal is like leaven, trying to get all the leaven out of our house. So coming up to that. So appreciate your comment, Mandy. You are Pepper. You're amazing. All the stuff you do. So hope you're doing great, sister. Here's my comment to boost the channel. Thank you. Just kidding. Great show as always. Love you all. Love you. Definitely. Well, sister. And that helps, guys. Like literally that helps boost the channel, getting those comments. So even if it's simple like that, it really does help it. Marcia, dear sister, said another enjoyable dive into the word, and everybody putting the pieces of the puzzle together is awesome. It sure is. And then my loving wife said, Passover, I love diving in Exodus every year. I love how Passover has always has all the connections to Messiah. I love celebrating with food and drink and fellowship. Our Sabbath service keeping group spends the week together doing fun activities. I love having children. I can pass these truths down to 100%, babe. I definitely agree. Alrighty, and then we'll go ahead and get the ones over from Take on the World. Again, appreciate those comments. It helps, with Take on the World grow, which means they can get more people, to share their content on their stream and grow that community as well. I don't know about their plans this year, but last year Anthony went. We do have a special episode with him on the streets there at Take on the World. Check that out. But yeah, they have a Take on the World conference, a get together, stuff for everyone of all ages to do. A lot of learning about the Father and getting into that. So check them out as well. And all right, so let's look into our comments from Take on the World. Bring those up. Got our brother D&G Ministries. That's Ian. Again, he does a show on Take on the World. Check him out. He says, good point that there are modern pharaohs that are giving orders to modern day midwives. They are indeed doing the bidding of the modern day pharaohs. I actually have something to share about why Pharaoh didn't punish the midwives, by the way. Also, Mrs. Vader was on it in the video, in my honest opinion. Solid points. Good comparison on the phrase concerning muttering the Egyptian taskmaster to Korah's rebellion. Yeah, awesome, dude. Thanks for that comment. It was very well thought out. Appreciate that. I'd love to hear more on why the wives weren't punished. So midwives, I should say. But appreciate that. My beautiful wife over here said, to celebrate Passover, something I really love doing is a feet washing as a part of preparations because it is a humbling act. So when he had washed their feet, taking his garment and sat down again, he said to them, do you know what I have done to you? You call me teacher and Lord, and you say, well, for I am. If I then, Lord and teacher, have washed your feet, you have also ought to wash one another's. For I have given you an example that you should do as I have done to you. Most assuredly I say to you, a servant is not greater than his master, nor is he who is sent greater than he who sent him. If you know these things, blessed are you if you do them. 1 John 13. Yeah, awesome for that, babe. Yeah, we did. We started introducing that into it because this was also kind of thing with Passover. So, I wash all the children's feet, and then my wife washes my feet, and it's a very sobering and humbling act to do with one another, and I feel like it's something that's kind of lost in our civilization today. And then a new sister, I haven't read a comment from you. Thank you so much. It said, hope you all had a blessed Shabbat. Sure did that week and this week too, and I hope the same for you. And then Monglo, thank you. I really enjoy hearing the respectful way you guys discuss the scriptures. Yeah, I appreciate that. And your comment all the time, it's so helpful. We definitely appreciate it. And to all of you that do in the future, it really, really helps us out. So again, thank you to all that do that, who like, share, comment, subscribe, all that jazz. And remember, subscriptions are free, guys. You're not paying anything. You just click a couple buttons and then you get our shows. And as of right now, we're putting content out once a week, so we're not gonna blast you out with all these notifications. You'll get one from us once a week. So I sure hope you do that. But other than that, yeah, that was kind of all the housekeeping that I had to do for the day. So I guess we can just start saying our goodbyes, unless there was anyone else that had anything they kind of wanted to bring up.
Yeah, if you're part of the community and you watch this show, you should definitely subscribe to it. And the notifications only come up once a week. It's not overbearing. It's really, it's a good positive show, and it's a good thing. I just wanted to say that. Nick said you should play the whole song.
Okay, I could definitely do that. I won't have any lyrics or anything, so it will just be the music. It's gonna give me a second to set that up, because I gotta import stuff into this that I don't already have done, because I wasn't expecting to do it. So yeah. If you yeah, totally. We'll do it at the outro, but let's go ahead and just say our goodbyes for now. And then yeah, I'll play the whole song. We'll have the music video next week. So I hope y'all enjoy it. But yeah, I'll go over to Daryl Lee, brother. Thanks for joining us as always. I hope you're having a great Shabbat, or had a great Shabbat. Say your goodbyes to the folks.
Yeah, thank you, Vader. Yeah, a pleasure to be here, y'all. I know I didn't say much, but it was good just listening. Anyhow, I'm looking forward to that new music there, Frankie, Nick. I'm excited about that. Yeah, it's good to see you on here too. I'm glad you've been showing up. Anyhow, Shabbat Shalom, everybody.
Indeed. All right, and then we'll jump over to Frankie B. Actually, I'll save you to last so that you can do kind of a call out for the song. Kind of explain it a little bit before I play it. So I'll skip you for now and go over to Chris. Chris has been working kind of some stuff behind the scenes, so I appreciate you for that, brother. But yeah, if you'd like to say your goodbyes, we wouldn't mind hearing from you.
Peace.
Which is exactly what Shabbat means, if y'all didn't know.
Shalom.
Sweet. And then Marsha, thanks for being here as always, sister. All the help and support you give us, we definitely appreciate it. Yeah, say your goodbyes.
It's just shalom. Glad to have been here.
Shalom
That's
from
it.
under the 7 domes.
There you go. Shalom from under the 7 domes.
Sweet. All right. Well, I definitely appreciate y'all all for being here. I'm gonna throw it over to you, Frankie. So let us know a little bit of what music you got coming, or sorry, specifically about this song. Like anything you kind of want to share about it, what it meant to y'all, or anything like that. I'd love to hear it.
I gave Nick a piece of music. I just recorded a little guitar track, and then he wrote this beautiful song. It's called Dig Deep. It's about digging through the scriptures, finding Yeshua, finding the meaning of life through the scriptures. Just digging into the word. It's basically what we do on this show. Iron sharpens iron. We're digging deep into the text. We're finding revelation. We're finding new things, and that's the S. And then we wrote it one Saturday afternoon in my basement, and then we took it to the studio. And last week, our producer finalized it and sent it to us, and then we sent it to you, and we're just so blessed. I mean, the leads. Wait till you hear the lead. The beginning of the song is just Nick and the guitar and a little lead, because we wanted to get the essence of the words. But wait till the end of the song, because it really gets heavy, and you're going to be really blessed.
Yeah, and if you don't mind me butting in, it is just it's a love letter to Abba, put real simply, just giving him glory and honor, and wondering about him, and this whole journey we're on, so it's really to bless all believers everywhere.
That's awesome, bro.
That was Nick, by the way, the lead singer on this, and our drummer in the band. So we just hope that you're blessed. Continue to search the scriptures. Continue to seek out the Spirit. Continue to pray. Continue to just walk in love and seek the Father. Because if you seek the Father, He will show up and He will give you answers. So we just hope you're all blessed. Have a great Shabbat. Have a great week. And dig deep. Here it comes. Here it is. I'm so excited. Thanks, Vader.
Oh, my pleasure, bro. And I'm almost done here, so just bear with me for just a moment longer, people, and I will have this good to go. Just want to add some type of background so people aren't just staring at black. Perfect. All right, guys. I hope y'all enjoy this. This is Born Out of Time. Dig Deep. I hope y'all all have a great night. Thanks for being here. And until next week, remember that Abba loved you first. Good night.